Hello my friend, it's King Gabriel here again, and as you see I'm outdoors just connecting with you on a natural level. I wanted to talk about something today. What has happened is, I'm just going to get straight to the topic. What has happened is, a lot of people these days have put aside the idea of religion, which is perfectly fine, right? Because most of the religions are founded in beliefs that are causing a lot of discrepancies between beings. But the main topic of today is materialism, and people don't realize it, but materialism itself has become a religion, and I'll show you why it's a religion also, right? People look at things from the scientific standpoint nowadays, where if you can't prove something with form, then it's not valid, it's invalid, and is of no consequence. But that is not necessarily true. Now, I'm not saying it's not true. What I'm saying is it's not necessarily true, right? If you look out at nature and you see tree leaves moving, common sense will tell you that, you know what, there's wind present. Now, you can't see the wind. You cannot see the wind unless you have some kind of special vision that most don't know about, which is a possibility too. But for most of us, we don't see the wind. So if we don't see the wind, what we see is the evidence of the wind. We see the leaves rustling. And by seeing the leaves rustling, we know that the wind is present. Just like that, a lot of the forms and stuff that we actually encounter in this experience are not the thing itself, but the evidence of the thing. So the thoughts that we're holding, the energy that we're putting forth, the energy that we're receiving is the real mode of communication, the mode of creation in a sense, and the mode of manifestation. When it is already manifest though, it's not up to us to grab onto that thing that we see manifest and say that that is the substance itself. It's evidence of the substance. The substance itself is within us. We're able to use that substance to create. We're able to become increasingly aware of the presence of that substance. And by being increasingly aware of it, we then become more in tune with it itself. So, as in the beginning, I spoke about intention. And after intention, I spoke about the fact that when intention came through, it then transferred itself into magnetic force, which bonded the particles around us to become whatever they are. If we truly understand that and we hold an intention in our space, right, in our consciousness, then what we're doing is polarizing the particles around us to present what we, would like to see. And the proof that we would like to see it is that we hold it in consciousness, right? So, if you're ever looking for evidence of anything, the real test is, what am I holding in my consciousness? What is it that I want to see? Because that is exactly what you will see, right? So, all you have to do to find out what you're thinking of predominantly is just look around you. Look in your environment, see where you are, see what you're doing, see who you're interacting with, and you'll realize that that is a direct reflection of what you've been holding in your consciousness, or it could actually be what you're presently holding in your consciousness still, right? It all depends on whether or not you're focusing there in that moment, or whether you're experiencing a past seed that's grown to fruition, right? And we'll go into that later on in more detail. What I wanted to touch on today with materialism though are just a few topics. And the topics I want to talk about is the position of us in the equation, right? We look at it as if we come through this experience and we interact with our families, our parents, those around us, the environment, and we have to make something of ourselves. We have to make something of ourselves. That's the expression that they say. Let me make something of myself. Now, what can we really make of ourselves? We can make ourselves successful in terms of the world idea of success, right? So we become professional baseball players, professional athletes of different sorts, doctors, lawyers, all these things. And then we look around and we recognize that even in our position that we've made ourselves into, the world itself that we're occupying, the oceans, 90% of the sharks are dead right now because people like shark fin soup. So they kill out a whole bunch of sharks, destroying an ecosystem. Around us, carbon dioxide is being pumped into the air. I think it's something like, I can't remember the exact figure right now, but it's something like basically 1,000 billion or 1,000,000 billion gallons of carbon dioxide is in the air right now, right? That has been released. And we're there in our position of Dr. and Lawyer feeling really good, right? About ourselves. And while feeling good about ourselves, we're doing nothing to contribute or to help to make a difference in the thinking of those people who think it's all right to destroy everything around us while we sit there with pride about what we think we are. Now, how foolish is that? How, if you really examine that, is that sense? Is that really common sense? Is that what we could do? Is that the best that we could do? For pride to prove to the people around us that we're something? That makes no sense. Because the generations that come after us, our children and our children's children, will have nothing to enjoy. Right now the coral reefs are dying and stuff like that, and it's just okay. It's just okay because it's not our generation, right? It doesn't matter. That's what some people think. And they think that they'll have a unique experience because they have enough money to buy that experience. But when all those things are gone, those experiences that they want to have will not be there either. You know, so I'm not like a big environmental activist or anything like that. I more work on the level of spirituality and connecting to source. But there's also a certain amount of awareness as individuals that we must practice, because there will be no template for us to practice on if the template is destroyed, right? Okay, what will happen is this specific experience, though we are eternal beings, this specific experience will be done. And there will be a new experience in which we have to learn. But why go through all that if we have already acquired this level of understanding and we can make a difference at this point in time? Why wait for a future outcome? Why wait for something where we form a whole new earth or a whole new experience? Why do that? It's like a person, and this is how I really look at it. I'm just going to say it as it is. But it's almost like our humanity right now, or our community, our society is committing suicide slowly. And by committing that suicide, we will have to go through another experience to get the same lessons that we could already master right now and go through as a community. So think about that for a second. Is it worth it? When you see somebody commit suicide, people talk about hell and damnation and all that, but really and truly, what about that soul? Doesn't that soul still have to learn the same lessons that it came to learn? Won't it have to go through that same set of things again? Because it's a complete thing. It's actually an eternal being that has come to learn, right? If it cuts that experience short, the learning still has to be complete. So then it's got to go through experience still. That just makes no sense. So as a community, as a society, we have to look at that. And those who would like to prolong this learning experience, good for them. But some of us are ready to move on and are ready to do things that would allow us all to move on. That is why people post videos like this, I suppose, and why people do things to stretch out there, because they want to see change. They want to see change for everyone, right? And I know to some people it might seem fictional, it might seem to be this airy-fairy interpretation of life. But when you look at life and you see the outcomes that some are creating, and then you see the vibe that's coming from the people who are centered in that connection, there is a difference. And that is not by chance, right? There is a difference. So pay attention to that and see what's happening. Back to materialism being the new religion. It's the new religion because if you're fully focused on materialistic thinking, then guess what you're not thinking of? You're not thinking of reality. You're not thinking of your center. You're not thinking of your true self. And so yes, you're in a religion. So by fighting off religion and picking up the scientific thinking as well, another religion is formed. anything you resist must persist, and we know that to be true at this point. So the point is, we can't outcast any type of religion. We can't try to outcast science either, because in rejection of science, we'd actually be pushing out something that we will have to face against later. The only path is peace, and combining all the things that we know at this point and allowing ourselves to use what we know to further ourselves. And that's what's happening, right? There are a few things that we do know, and truth is in there, right? Once we can get into that space, stay connected, we could be alright. We can still be alright, right? There's still time. Okay, it's not the end. There is absolutely no end in the first place, but right now is not the end. We have a chance to make a difference, and this is the way that I'm speaking, in a common and calm way, because I hope that people could hear it as it is and not really get in a fuss about it or anything like that. I would like to see a difference, right? And I know that we could make a difference. So join me in making that difference. I'll talk to you soon again. Eternal love and infinite peace.